I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Jason is my son, and today is his
You could have dinner with us. My brother makes good head cheese. Candyman, I get cheese. Candyman, Candyman. We all go a little mad sometimes. Hello and welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you will ever listen to. We are the creators of the Spooky Pit, the innovators of the Passion Bump, and we take you down the darkest rabbit holes of all things horror.
Welcome, spooky bitches. We review horror movies and fucking with comedy. We're your final bros, Brian Hopwell LaGrassa and Shane, I'll trim your hedges, Smith. We are joined by our Scream Queen, Jen the producer, and fan favorite guest, my brother Tim Ryan's here today.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be back. What's going on?
Thank you for coming out of the basement.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was getting pretty dark down there. And right now, unfortunately, the raccoons have decided to unionize. So the shirt printing press has been put on a temporary hold for the time being, but hopefully we'll be back. Hopefully we'll have more merch, maybe a shirt for Shane's daughter at some point, but we'll see.
This is true.
I'll let you know, TBD.
As we were talking, I just realized I packed my shirt. It's actually in the other room.
Yeah.
I was going to put it on for this episode and completely forgot. I do have it here, though.
We have specific movies that we can't make a merch for Shane's daughter until we watch those movies. One of them being Children of the Corn.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
But
man.
I actually do have two things right up front because of the quote that you read for this movie.
Let's go.
We're reviewing
Yeah.
They Live, the Roddy Piper classic. And I'm not
I'm
kidding.
just
This
jumping
movie's
ahead.
awesome.
John Carpenter again. Isn't he fucking great, guys? Like,
I love
off the
John
get-go,
Carpenter.
he's amazing.
So wait. We're going right into the movie right now?
Well, Jen has some facts.
I have two things up front, only because of the quote that you read. I actually wasn't sure I wrote it down, but it's actually one of the first two things in my notes. The film was originally a short story in the 60s, and then it became a graphic novel in the 90s. And excuse me, I'm on a roll with these burps today. I held that one in to be polite. It wasn't polite that I held it in. For the line that you just read, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum, was ad-libbed by Roddy Pipper. And according to director John Carpenter, Piper had previously written the line in his notebook of potential verbal bits to do during his wrestling career. And he shared the notebook with Carpenter, and they agreed that this line fit the character just perfectly for this film. And Piper also still went and used it in a wrestling match though.
Yeah, that line is fucking incredible, though.
It's a great
line.
line.
How perfect is that line? It's just so great. I
Yeah.
love it.
Also, another thing with that line, and I'm not 100% positive, but doesn't Duke Nukem say that in the video game?
Duke Nukem does say that, yes, and actually that's the first time I had heard it ever in media, but it's really nice to go back to the source, I think.
Yeah.
And I actually really like this film, especially because Roddy Piper being casted. There's going to be a couple scenes later that I know we're going to go over where he's just in very peak wrestler form, just shooting off insults.
Yes.
That I wish I had even remotely the stones to say myself to somebody.
Yeah,
Incredible.
you feel like he was just
So-
shooting promos while
Yes,
making this movie.
Absolutely.
That's what it felt
Absolutely.
like.
At that point in the movie, I call it Nicolas Caging because I feel like he didn't have to be that blatant about it. Like he could have just laid low for a hot minute and to figure out what was going on. But he was just like, nah, I'm about this life now. You fucking suck.
He adapted to this role so quick. Like in the character I'm talking about, the character is credited, I think, as Nada or Nothing.
Yes.
He doesn't have a name in the movie, obviously. We're probably going to refer to him as,
Oh, you're
Roddy
right.
Piper.
It's the best way to
Yeah.
refer to him because he, like you said, doesn't have a name.
yeah. So we can refer to him as
Might as
anything,
well.
but mostly Roddy Piper. But I feel like he got into this role and he was already all right, I have to take these guys out like this. He was observing for a while, for the first maybe 25 minutes. And then he's like, all right, fucking badass, all out, taking him out, full committal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As soon as he knew what the problem was, into action like that.
Yeah.
I am really excited to delve into his character. And funny thing about his name, Nada, from what I read, is apparently that's adapted from a character. I think the name was George Nada. Jen had mentioned this was adapted from something by Ray Faraday Nelson called 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think the character's from that. So George Nada, so it's an adaptation of that. Yes, no, I'm completely excited to delve into this guy and all of his motivations behind what he does. And Nicolas Caging is a excellent way to describe it because you're just going along for the ride, and then it's just 0 to 60
Mhm.
on the roller coaster, and you
Yeah,
were
pretty
on
much.
it until the end of the film.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's jump right into the Spooky Pit.
They are the puppets with all the strings, and nobody knows until now. They Live was released in 1988, directed by John Carpenter. It's a horror sci-fi starring the Roddy Piper as Nada, Keith David as Frank, Meg Foster as Holly, George Buckflower as Drifter, Peter Jason as Gilbert, Raymond St. Jacques as the Street Preacher.
So I didn't know that was Meg Foster until like I saw the credits. Because I guess I'm more used to like her just being older in her, obviously, because as
she's
time
done a
goes
lot
on,
of
you
work
get
in
older.
that
But like
time, yeah.
I see her more in movies now. Like
Yeah.
Can I just say she was only in this movie to do sex voice. That's it. The whole time she was talking, her voice was that very low pitch voice that was like, yes. It was such sex voice.
She had to calculate what she was saying. Like, I feel like she was just like observational, and then she would speak in a low amount. I see what you're saying because it was like very low tone.
it fits for her character though, knowing where she ends up. Like,
Exactly.
But
all of her
the
motivations
moment she
are-
talked in this movie, I was like, oh, you're just here for the sex voice.
All right, so let's get into it. This movie opens up with Roddy Piper walking through the city with a backpack, and instantly I have flashbacks of Hobo with a shotgun.
Yeah, we're talking railroad yard, right?
Yeah.
Railroad yard. I think he's about to go for a job interview.
Yes, because he goes to I think it's an unemployment office, and he's just looking for work there. That's
Yes.
what it seemed like.
It's like, so from what I gathered from it is also one thing, funny thing about the opening shot with the train, apparently it cost $12,000, which back in the 80s is like a lot of money. And they actually fucked up the shot and had to do it again.
Wow.
You're correct.
But yes, so from what I gathered from that is that he's walking through LA, or we can call it Scumtown if you want. Yeah, so I think he goes to collect unemployment or something like that. I think they mentioned like there's like an intercom thing where it's like, we have delayed welfare like permanently until further notice. And then he somehow ends up at this other office where he's looking for
that's
job
what
opportunities.
what it is.
So
Because they tell him there's nothing available for him.
it's bad.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of super background on him, but one of the things that they mentioned was like he worked in Denver for 10 years.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's nothing, you said, there's nothing available for him here.
The people in the unemployment office are like in any movie ever are some of the most useless humans in the world. Like they can't even do their one job is to find employment for people.
I really don't know like if that's like accurate to how they are. I can tell you like the DMV is like that.
Yeah,
like,
I've only seen unemployment offices in like movies and TV shows. I don't know if they actually exist anymore because you can just apply anywhere online, even at the library. But just because you mentioned the thing about the train, I think it's worth saying that the movie cost about $4 million to make. And you're correct. It did cost $12,000 to have the train roll by for the opening shot. And the technical snafu required them to do it a second time.
so that was another 12,000.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes.
They spent a lot of money only on that opening scene. I actually think they spent a lot of money on the aliens. And when we get to the aliens, I'll tell you why they look the way they look.
I actually really like the way they look. I feel like I've never seen aliens look like this before. That's why I thought it was a really cool
The
idea.
design is awesome because they're essentially just kind of like skeleton people. Like
I actually refer to them as skeletons, but they're aliens.
Keep going, and then I'll tell you why they look that way.
Okay.
So he leaves the job office.
He's going to meet up with your boy, Street Preach McGee.
Well, I was going to say he meets a character who gives you the entire plot of the movie.
Just right there. You just like this movie is so good on just being like, it's almost like a PowerPoint presentation. It's just like, this is what's happening. Now we're here.
That character was literally made for that actor. They saw him in The Thing and made this character for him.
Well, actually, no. So I think what it was is they wanted to get Kurt Russell to be Nada, but then Carpenter was like, oh my God, I keep putting Kurt Russell in everything. We need to find someone else to do this. And then he saw Roddy Piper and was just like, he's perfect. So,
Yeah, he's like must be like really like legit boys with Kurt Russell. They've done what Big Trouble in Little China, like all the
they've
escape
done a
movies.
bunch
Like
of
he's
movies
got
together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of John Carpenter's best movies are with Kurt Russell.
obviously The Thing.
The Thing. That would,
goes without saying, right? Yeah, so like you mentioned, the Street Preacher, how people are being controlled, saying they own us, they're our masters. The entire plot of the movie. He walks by a man staring at a bunch of TV screens by a window, continues to stare at them like he's glued in, which is pretty interesting. He gets a job in construction in what appears to be the fastest interview process in human history.
Well, it's a very interesting scene because he's like, I would like a job. He's like, it's a union job. And then and kind of like a very 1980s, he kind of like scans over and sees a bunch of people who clearly are not union people, I'm assuming is what they're getting at. Right. And he's like, come on, man. They give him the job like that day.
If you're into hot dudes with their shirts off, he's going to do some shirtless digging right now.
So sexual. Very sexual here.
I mean, this is peak Roddy Piper, man.
Seriously. You're talking about like one of the great 80s wrestlers, like ever.
Yeah, one of the best 80s promos ever in wrestling, and he's going to give a lot in this movie, like we said. I think this is where we see Keith David is also one of the construction workers.
Yes. His name in the movie is Frank.
Yes.
He overhears a conversation between, we're going Roddy Piper or Nada? Roddy Piper?
We'll just keep calling him Roddy Piper. It's easier that way.
And the foreman,
Yeah.
and asked if Roddy Piper would like to sleep by him. And he doesn't say anything, but he shortly follows. And Frank takes Roddy Piper to a shanty town.
Yes.
Can we go shanty town?
It's 100% a shanty town. Two things of note I want to just point out before we get to the shanty town is the foreman tells Piper there's no sleeping at the site. So he does need to find somewhere to sleep, and that he gets paid every Thursday.
Yes, every Thursday.
Because that does come into play later on in a very intense fight scene.
Frank does not like steel mills.
Yeah. That's a very, he's very adamant and does not like, because I think he says he's from Detroit, right?
Yes.
He essentially like alludes to, like things that actually have happened in Detroit, like a lot of mills, a lot of factories closing down. And he seems like very against the people that are basically taking these factories away. I think one of the quotes was that he mentions the golden rule and he says,
"He who has the gold makes the rules." Excellent quote.
And he mentions, too, that he has a wife and a kid in Detroit still.
Yeah, he's estranged from his family. And he's just trying to... It's crazy to think that he had to move all the way out to L.A. to get work.
Yeah.
Which kind of circles back to the whole thing with the welfare and the unemployment line and all that. Is I'm guessing in this reality is there's no work anywhere and more people are homeless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like because the people that have the jobs are either the aliens, or essentially they allude to these people have kind of almost sold their souls to the aliens to get work. We're now at the shanty town.
I love a good shanty town. I've seen enough It's Always Sunny to love shanty towns. Roddy Piper, he believes that in the U.S., everybody has a tough time. And they're walking around the shanty town. He notices two guys. They're watching a TV outside. It's a woman talking about nail extensions, but the TV station changes.
So you get this guy who you learn is hacking into the broadcast. He's kind of mentioning how they are in a repressive society, how they are unwilling participants to a stronger being, a higher power almost.
Yeah. He mentions, scientists discovered signals and the TV cuts kind of like a static look. Poor population is growing and racial justice is non-existent. They are our unwitting accomplices. Strange terms to be thrown out at the beginning, but you may get a feel of where this movie is going a little bit with mind control and things of that nature.
So
I feel like I'm watching fucking Doctor Who.
Yeah,
that's the vibe I got.
These aliens would be the villains in a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what they remind me of now that we're saying this? The Silence.
For sure.
They control your actions and your thoughts, and you kind of forget they're there.
I did also notice in the scene, I think, because I don't know if is it the second broadcast? Because there's two broadcasts, right? There's a broadcast that comes on at night with the two guys, and then he's just like, blow it out your ass and like changes the channel.
Yes.
And then the one later is there's like, it looks like it's a dad with like his daughter and someone else in the family. And somebody was mentioning like, oh, I'm getting a headache watching this.
I think that's the next day.
Yes,
that
the
one
following
happens?
day, the broadcast happens again, and they're complaining about headaches with all this, which I think they're going to go into more detail about like how all of this works and why it's affecting your brain. But continue.
Yeah, but what's interesting, like when the broadcast is happening, you see the street preacher. He's mouthing the words that are on the broadcast.
Yeah, he knows every word.
Yeah, and the next day, Roddy Piper at night also noticed that. The head of the shanty town, like
Gilbert.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this guy Gilbert, that he was going into the church at 4 a.m. And Piper's curious, like, why are you going into this church at 4 a.m.? Like, what's going on there? And he doesn't really give him an answer.
No, he's like really suspicious, actually.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing in the church at 4 a.m. and they have the choir music playing? Very strange.
And this is now when we see the TV again. And this is when that scene that you had mentioned happens.
Like you said, the man on the TV comes on again. And he's like, they must switch off the signal at the source. Mm-hmm. He notices Gilbert run into the church. And then Roddy Piper, taking flannel to new heights, listens to choir practice outside. heads in and sees the different liquids in the beakers and a ton of sunglasses laid out on the desk.
Now, I've been to church. I've never been to a church with beakers and sunglasses.
You've never been to Sunglass Church?
No. What religion is this?
I think this is the main Sunglass Hut, actually.
This
is like where Sunglass Hut started.
Maybe it's Scientology?
There we go.
See what I did there?
Nice.
Speakers and the... see.
Nice.
It's not, though. It's something completely different.
But on the wall, in big letters, it says, "They live, we sleep."
I think also in the beginning of the movie or earlier on, you see a wall with graffiti, and there's a bunch of graffiti everywhere. And then in the writing there, it says "They live."
I love that opening shot. I really do.
So that's like now the second time in this movie we've seen the title of the movie. So Piper now keeps snooping around, which I'll be honest, I'd be snooping around too at this point.
You think he has a hunch?
Oh, he has. If he was a cop, his hunch would be raging.
Which, Jen, we know that if you have a hunch, you have total ethical boundaries to go and give a search warrant. It's the same equivalent.
Especially if you're an alien with a hunch.
Yeah. Like me and Brian will preach this to the day we die. A cop doesn't need evidence. He just needs a strong hunch.
That's all you need. It will land in court, I promise.
This is also what we call Nicolas Caging.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely in Wicker Man.
Definitely
he
Bad
goes
Lieutenant.
everywhere in that movie too. All over, wherever he wants.
So he notices that the music's
pretty much
pre-set up on a stereo as Gilbert is shown talking to this group of men in the church. Super sus at this point. And they're mentioning the signal keeps getting jammed on the street. He's concerned that their scope is just not large enough at this point. And I think, but he doesn't even remove a piece of the wall away.
Mm-hmm.
So he's listening to them. Turns around and he walks right into the street preacher.
Who I didn't know at the time the preacher is blind.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Now I do. Yeah, now I do know he's blind because
that makes sense though, because he touches his face, and that's something that
he has heightened senses.
Yeah,
is the idea. That's always like the trope. Whenever there's like a blind person, it's like all of their other senses have just been like shot up to 300% for some reason.
That's the thing. In any movie, if you're blind, you're now Daredevil in the movie. Like,
yeah, you can fight crime. You can touch Roddy Piper's face. You can do whatever you please.
Scare the shit out of Rodney Piper.
Yeah. Does he?
He just runs.
Yeah,
he runs out, and they start seeing helicopters overhead.
Yes, and these helicopters are circling this shanty town, just kind of like scoping out the place.
And Frank is very observing. He's looking at Roddy Piper, who just cops a couple of binoculars from some dude and start watching Gilbert. He's doing a little recon. Frank approaches him, and Roddy Piper tells him about the lab they have set up over there. And he's like, "Leave it alone." He just warns him, like, "Dude, chill." He's like, "Listen, Gilbert's helping them." And at night, he's back on binocular duty, doing some more recon.
Yeah, I don't know why he, like, for some odd reason decided to be the nosiest asshole in this movie. Like, literally, he could have done nothing and it would have been fine.
True, but I mean, also, this guy, like we have mentioned, is just, he's very observant and, you know, it's the hunch. You can't reject the call of the hunch.
Thank you, Tim.
Once you travel down the path, you can't turn around. I don't even care if Keith David is like, "Come on, man, just leave it alone," which is like, also this role was written for Keith David.
Yes,
and I see kind of like almost like an intersection with Childs from The Thing, where it's just like, I don't want no part of this shit. Leave me alone. Self-preservation for me. Leave me out of it.
Yeah, literally.
And Roddy Piper, doesn't matter if it's Roddy Piper, doesn't matter if it's Kurt Russell. He's like, "Fuck you, I'm getting to the bottom of this."
Seriously.
I miss when Keith David was doing these kinds of movies instead of just being a shitty detective in modern horror.
Yeah.
He's the detective in Smiley. He's the detective in Chain Letter.
It's like he wants to find his own hunch, but he's never gonna reach that high.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, he honestly, like, to be fair to Keith David, he gets so much work.
Oh, his voice acting?
Yeah, like he does do good things still, but he's just in so many bad movies.
He's in a lot of low budget horror movies too, like really bad ones.
I'll respect it if maybe he just enjoys doing it.
Maybe
and more power to you.
It's like the Nick Cage, right? You just want to do it to do it.
Exactly. If you're having fun doing it and getting paid.
That's like the guys who like were in charge of the production of Scarecrow. That the movie called?
Rise of the Scarecrows?
Rise of the Scarecrows. Because remember we looked them up and they've done like a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. I saw their Meat Cleaver Satanic Massacre. Satanic Meat Cleaver Massacre. There's so many of their movies are on Amazon. It's wild.
They are.
Getting back to the movie.
Yes, segue. Change our segue.
I am our segue guy because I've noticed this podcast has just turned into what tangent can we go off on next? that
Yeah.
not the movie.
I like to
And-
fuck your tangent, and then you like encroach on mine.
Exactly, but I always bring us back to center.
He looks up, he notices the helicopter as the men in the church, they're immediately leaving that church building, like ASAP. And I think you see a man in the helicopter aiming a gun. Like this shit's getting real fast. And like as a viewer, if you're watching this for the first time, you are, at least for me, I was like super confused. I was like, what was going on?
Yeah, I was confused as hell.
Like it makes so much sense if you've seen it the first time, obviously. But like if you're watching it the first time, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, and then literally it cuts to nighttime and the police just mow down this shanty town.
Yes. I'm pretty sure there's like a legit, because I know the cops come and they have like the scientific investigation unit that comes.
Yeah.
And then there's just a bulldozer that literally just dumpsters the entire shanty town.
Oh, it's such an emotional scene. I will say one thing that I read. Apparently, John Carpenter actually hired like people that were homeless to kind of like fill out the population of the shantytown, and like he gave them like food, shelter, and like pay for the duration of the shoot, which I think is like, well, in Piper's words, said very classy, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
nice.
cool that he did that. And I also read apparently like to this day, I don't think anything has been developed on that shantytown land. It's like sacred land.
It's still pretty like, I was gonna say blank, but that's the wrong word. Vast. I don't know.
Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, undeveloped. That's the word.
That's awesome.
We could build our own shantytown there, guys. We could recreate this.
Well,
Let's do
it's,
it.
it's funny because I was just thinking of Tropico,
Oh my
where the
God.
shanty towns pop
They
up
just
and
pop
then
up
you just
everywhere.
demolish them so you can build a casino.
That's me.
Yes.
I'm that like fucking Uber crony tycoon that just like destroys these people's houses and builds fucking these casinos.
Sure,
have
sir.
priorities.
I am not at work right now. Can we leave casinos out of this?
Sorry, yeah,
Sorry,
you're
yeah,
right.
I would like to stay as far away from there as possible
I'm like
when I
this.
am not
I'm
there.
like this evil dictator in the fucking game, where like everything's gonna be like super lavish, and then it eventually crumbles because everybody revolts, and they just destroy everything anyway.
Dude, Tropico's great.
It's so fun.
It's a game too. I don't even play it. I just watch you play it, and
It's
it's
fun.
so
Do
exciting.
you guys know the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know how like the judge like who's a toon wants to like build a fucking highway through their town?
A freeway, actually.
A freeway
He
thing. Oh, thank you.
emphasizes freeway.
That was a real thing. That's based off of the freeway in LA.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah, there was a lot of like predominantly black neighborhoods, and they like bulldozed through all of them and built the freeway in LA.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened. They went through these impoverished areas, these large
Mhm.
areas, and they just were like, "You get a freeway now. Why are you putting a highway here? No, man, it's a freeway. It's different."
Yeah. No, I think it's I think it's even funnier how they replaced that really tragic real story and made like the Looney Tunes.
Yeah, literally. They were like, Christopher Lloyd, please come hither.
He's so good in that movie.
He is.
He's
That's
fantastic.
actually one of my top favorite movies.
I actually forget it is Christopher Lloyd during that. Like,
I
it's
know,
one of those
right?
roles
He's
where
a-
you just
He
lose
does
him.
such a good job.
Christopher Lloyd. I love where he pops up. He's in fucking Piranha 3D.
Oh, as the scientist.
Yes. He's definitely a fave. Wait, the guy who played the detective in Who Framed Roger Rabbit passed away too.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I know.
He did a while ago, right? Or
Yeah, it's a bit ago. But anyways, we're not talking about Jessica Rabbit.
How did we get here?
Yeah.
Ask it every time.
We just lose track.
Talking about the homeless, which I could have like segued into a cult conversation, but I'm not going to do that this time.
Like I could get to the police batoning the freaking bearded man in the street preacher.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
Roddy Piper's just kind of watching it, which to be fair to him, like I'm not getting involved in that.
Yeah.
There's like
There's
he's just
outmanned.
getting, yeah.
They're outmanned. Like it's
That's it.
insane.
Not
He's
to mention,
busy
some of
being
them have
tough.
guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They're armed. They're ready to go.
He does though grab binocular guy because he
Yes.
sees him hiding in the
Yeah,
corner.
that's right.
And-
Saves him.
And they start running down the alley, but he sees more police storming. So they shoot down another alley and they jump into this like building, which they think is abandoned, but it's actually got Gilbert and a couple of other people, right?
Yes, got some shanty dwellers.
Yeah, this is some of the shanties.
But this, for me at least, it gives me a little intro into his character. And like, he's actually a moral person. He's a good guy. Obviously, he's just rescued some people, and he probably would have tried to rescue the other two people that were getting beaten by the cops, but they were outmanned. Like, he would have gotten his ass kicked.
Yeah, this is one thing about Piper's character, and I like that they made it very consistent. Besides one person, he never harms a real person.
no,
No,
Really?
he goes out of his way not to. actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like that they kept that consistent. Like he never changes except when he has to in one spot.
Mhm.
Now, the next day, Roddy Piper returns to the church. That's also been trashed.
Yeah, completely destroyed. And he kicks the wall in to get his package. He opens the package. It's a lot of black sunglasses, like
Yes.
a ton of them.
He takes a pair of the sunglasses and he hides the rest of the box in a garbage can. And when I mean hide, he actually takes out some of the trash, puts the sunglasses in, and then buries the trash back on top. This way no one will know the box is there.
Not gonna lie, my first thought was, so what happens on trash day, motherfucker?
Well, that comes back around.
I know. I was really happy it came back around because it was literally my first thought. I was like, you really don't think that they're going to keep that trash there forever, right? Like,
I like you how you think like that. I didn't even process that thought.
Really?
No, I didn't. I just thought, okay, he was going
It's fine now. It's like no one's going to touch this trash.
I'm like, this is sacred trash. No one's touching
No
this.
one's seen this trash in years. But I like that you thought of that, and that like we have a director who's good enough to have also thought of that and plays it into the movie.
I was actually really happy with that. That felt good.
So now this is when the movie kicks off, though, because he puts the sunglasses on.
I love this too. Like I've never like this is like so Doctor Who, but obviously, well, actually, Doctor Who is fucking old as shit. But like this idea is super original. I really like it. It just reminds me of other things like Doctor Who from the sci-fi element. But it's so cool, and it's so many parallels to our culture too. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring this in because I know you guys are about to go in on it because he goes from 0 to 100, Nicolas Cage style, like a matter of minutes. So all the signs are saying things like obey and stuff like that. And they did that on purpose. The campaign was they live was the basis for my use of the word obey, Fairly said. And the movie had a very strong message about the power of commercialism and the way that people are manipulated by advertising, which is why you're seeing just kind of like blatant things in the magazines. What were some of the other words that they used?
I wrote some down. Some of them just say obey. But then there's others
Consume.
like so even like there's
Reproduce.
the one that says go to
Marry and reproduce.
That was what I was gonna say. That was the one.
Submit, conform.
It says go to the Caribbean, and then the subliminal message is marry and reproduce.
Brilliant.
Believe it or not, when I was in college, one of my courses was media and criticism, and this was like one of the focal point movies they wanted us to watch, just because of the commercialism aspect of the whole movie. I thought they were so cool.
Some of the other words were no thought, sleep, buy, follow, just all basic, like don't think. It's essentially lose your free thought.
Yes.
Is the moral.
Abandon your free thought. Yeah.
And we're about to see the aliens. I'm going to say like two things because I feel like if I don't, we're going to gloss over it. The aliens superficially resembled a walking, rotting corpse. And John Carpenter didn't want the aliens to look like the high-tech creatures of like other like science fiction films. He decided that since the beings were corrupting humanity, they themselves should resemble corruption of human beings.
Did they want them to look dead and mindless or no? Like drone-ish?
They look like
I thought they were actually
like a Fallout ghoul.
Like, it looked exactly like a Fallout ghoul, actually.
I actually thought they were robots upon like first looking, but that's partly because we see them in black and white as well. So there were no like color differentiating things.
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting. When you actually do start to see their full appearance, they are like kind of just blue and red, I guess would be the colors. Almost like meat, like the decaying meat, I guess.
They do, yeah.
And the other thing I will say, because like we're about to see like a lot of people in high society are actually these things, and a lot of people in like the higher positions. So like the broadcasters on TV, you'll see in like a minute are aliens. And one of the TV broadcasters refers to the director by name, and an alien commentator is complaining about sex and violence in media. And his dialogue breaks off with the words filmmakers like George A. Romero and John
Carpenter. I remember that, and that was funny. Yeah.
Have to show some restraint. They're simply blah, blah, blah. Like they actually reference the directors, which I thought was hysterical.
I love that. Like, that's so great. He would throw himself in there. It's so funny.
But now you may continue because we're now seeing through Piper's eyes these words obey and these aliens.
Yes, because now we're at the magazine stand. The first guy he sees is a normal guy at the stand. But then when he's flipping through the magazine, obviously there's like pictures, but then when he sees it says consume, obey. But then another guy comes to the stand, and that's when he looks up and you see that he's an alien.
Yeah, and he is like a very legit looking. He looks like a skeleton with bulging eyes.
I honestly thought they were robots upon first look.
They could look kind of robotic looking, but I definitely they look like skeletons to me. But I can see what you're saying, like in terms of like
black
a robotic
and white
skeleton.
definitely didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to just like, I guess, distort what you're seeing. Like, you're not supposed to know, really. Then Roddy Piper goes through basically just walking around and seeing like who's an alien, who's a real person, just like flipping the glasses, trying to figure out like what's going on.
I thought it was really cool too. Another cultural thing is like, I know John Carpenter is like really big on this stuff too. Is like when he was going to pay for the magazine, he pulls out his money and is like, this is your God.
I love that part. And actually, one other thing about that scene that I noticed on the books in the back behind Piper, there's these two books, and I think it kind of ties into like some of the themes of the movie. And one of the books was on ESP, which is, like kind of like related to like telepathy in the mind. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was about the Bermuda Triangle. And I know we're going to kind of go into the second one about the Bermuda Triangle and portals and the idea of portals and how they relate to this movie. And then ESP being how the signals have been manipulating everybody this entire time, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did you read the message that was on them when you put the glasses on?
No, actually I didn't. But I think the one was like, if it was a book on ESP, it was, I don't know if it was like an actual doctor. And it's usually those like conspiracy theory books you would usually see. Mm-hmm. I'd probably want to go back and rewatch it to see if he actually sees those books with the glasses on and what they actually say, because that would be really interesting.
Because I feel like when he puts the glasses on, we're not only just seeing it through his eyes, but sometimes it'll just go full black and white and we'll see like everything through them.
Yeah, well, I think that's the idea is it's like, because, I guess for the time period and doing the perspective, it's like they couldn't necessarily do like direct POV with Piper, but it's just like you're just seeing it through the lenses as he would see it.
Yeah. That's how I took it as. So he goes into a store, and this is the beginning of his rampage. And I'm hoping you guys wrote down some exact quotes of what he says.
Oh,
here.
I did.
Okay.
I wrote down some quotes about what the people in the store were. The skeletons were talking about. They're laughing and they're like, "Oh, serving of blue tortilla chips."
It's just like, that's so outdated. I'm like, what? I like blue tortillas. How dare you?
You bitch.
They came back in style, and that's why you're gone. You suck.
I definitely did research. I'm laughing because I know what comes up. Roddy Piper sees this old woman and she's an alien. Oh my
God.
And he's like real fucking ugly.
That was amazing. I was like, wow, the whole like morale just did a 180.
Is it the one he calls a formaldehyde face?
Yes.
Formaldehyde
dude, and then he hit with the cheese dip 57 joke.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was great.
Looks like your head fell in cheese dip back in 1957. And I'm like, I don't get it, but it works.
No, like, does anyone know if Carpenter wrote these lines or if Piper was just kind of ad-libbing his own
probably that
insult?
notebook he has where
Yes.
he shit talks.
He could, well, they ad-libbed that other one, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was just in like his journal for wrestling.
Well, dude, I know Roddy Piper was extremely good at cutting promos, so I would not doubt that he was just like riffing.
Yeah, obviously I'm the same. We were born in the same year, so I wasn't watching wrestling in the 80s. But I've been watching wrestling for like 20 something years now, so I've seen all these Piper highlights. I've seen Piper come back in WWE when he was live and do these kinds of things, and he always just had that like gravity to him where it's like you were drawn to him. Like even when he was a bad guy, or you wanted to cheer for him because he was so freaking likable.
Very electric.
Yeah.
Even when he was the maniac, it's always
my God.
Yes.
I'm the maniac.
I will say I read this one thing. Apparently, like he left, well, what would now be the WWE, the WWF at the time, he left WWF to do this movie. Because as I know you guys are wrestling fans, Vince McMahon was apparently a super control freak. I mean,
still is.
That never will change.
Yeah.
I could see like Roddy Piper being like, I'm leaving to do this movie, and him being like, you're fired. And he's like, I just quit. Like, what? You can't fire me. You're fired. Get out.
It's funny how things have changed because back then I could see him doing that. Now Vince like pushes these people to do movies. That's
what this movie did.
Yeah.
Broke it out for these guys to just like John Cena and The Rock to do these types of films and like really build like a base.
Because it builds for WWE too. Because then you're like, okay, John Cena, come back, do this match. Now you're not just getting wrestling fans. You're getting Hollywood guys who want to like see what John Cena does in the WWE.
The marketing about things has changed so much. And I think the business has changed. And I think he really adapts to that now more than ever.
Yeah. So getting back to the movie though. All these insults, the aliens now know he can see him. I think they even say like he knows like what we are.
They do like this thing where like they put their like hand to their mouth and like I got one that can see.
I think it's the watch, right? They all talk to a watch,
and that'll come into play later. They all have that same watch. I guess like a two-way radio or something like that.
Yep.
All right. So now the movie is going to go off the fucking rails.
Hell yeah.
Because Piper he leaves, and the police throw Piper into an alleyway. And you see that both of these officers are aliens. A lot of the police are going to be aliens, not all of them, though. Then beats up both police officers and he steals their gun. And I'm like, okay, he's just going to, walk away with the gun. He shoots both of them.
With the reflexes. I just want to say this again ties back into, because like I said, I know they wanted to get Kurt Russell for this. If you see a man who looks like Roddy Piper in that movie and or Kurt Russell, you turn and run. You are not fast enough. You are not strong enough. He will kill you. Just let him be.
So I actually got really confused instantly as soon as he started doing that, because up to this point in the movie, even though there's like subliminal messaging and stuff like that, I wasn't aware that these creatures in any way were a threat. And I got really confused as to why he was just like, oh, you're going to die.
The way I took it is, since he's seen all the subliminal messaging, he already knows they're being controlled by them.
I also think he linked it to the beginning too, with everyone getting fucking bulldozed.
Yeah.
There's a bit of an implication too, because like in the scene with the cop, it's like they kind of quickly show it where like the cop has his hand ready on the gun and he's like, let's just go somewhere and talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, buddy, like I know where this is going.
Yeah. Your talk about it is, I get shot the second I put my guard down. These cops are dead. I see. Now he does make a lot of smart decisions here, because he doesn't just keep the gun. He takes the shotgun.
Smart. Yeah.
Yes.
And now
he cocks it in public. He lets everybody know. He's like,
he's literally walking down the street with these guns. He walks into, I'm going to call it a bank.
Yeah,
it's a bank.
Okay.
Wouldn't you walk into a bank with a shotgun?
Yes. And that's when he utters the infamous line, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yes.
It's literally epic.
It's just so badass. Like, I can't praise it enough.
But of course, the second you say something like that, you get open fired on.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, he just unloads.
People just know. All right, he's not here.
And this is what I'm saying with Piper. He unloads only on the aliens. Like, he specifically, they show that he is only shooting the aliens in the scene.
Yeah, he starts blasting at all the skeletons, and one reports in, like on the two-way radio that is that watch.
And then he says, "Mama didn't like tattletales," and shoots that guy.
But then he dips. Right?
He dips.
At the last second.
Oh, he does. He dips. He doesn't shoot that one. And so that's when you now learn they can teleport. You don't know how yet, but they are able to teleport.
They just like vanish into nothingness. Yeah.
Right.
He goes outside and he sees a drone following him, and he just shoots the drone.
Yeah, blows it away.
Now a cop runs into him, but it's actually a human. And this is where, once again, he doesn't even hurt this guy. He just says, just go.
But give me your weapon.
Yeah.
Beat your feet.
That's what he says, right?
Apparently that was a fuck up, but the guy was like so into the scene, he just knew what that meant and just beat it.
Beat your feet. So he's in a parking garage and he grabs a woman, realizes she's a human, and he makes her drive him away.
I like to call this a good old-fashioned kidnapping with your own car.
Yeah, it reminds me of a scene kind of from, I think it's Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He kind of does the same thing where like he takes this woman hostage just so she can use her own car to drive him away.
It's an aggressive Uber, I think they call it.
Except in Commando, this car is too small, so Arnold Schwarzenegger pulls the seat out with his bare hands and then just sits on the floor.
He's like, listen, lady, we're going to your place.
Yeah, because she asks him, like, where do you want me to take you? And he's like, where do you live? Are you single? Don't lie to me.
Yeah. Because she does lie. And then
She does, yeah.
I thought that was the dumbest thing. I was like, I would not have driven him to my house. I would have driven him like, because he seems to like fall asleep almost immediately as soon as like he makes her drive, as if like he's not the bad guy in this current situation that he just like hijacked a lady in her car.
Little Grand Theft Auto.
That's the thing. There's like things you're going to question about, but it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning here, like she's very calm about the whole kidnapping.
Very.
And even when she brings me to the house, she's super calm about it. She's just like asking questions. And you'll learn it's because she knows exactly what's going on here. So they're in the house. I think she gets him a glass of water.
I think what happened was he literally collapses, right? And I think they mentioned like the glasses like really fuck with you, kind of like you get on like a high.
Yes.
And then she's trying to find any opportunity to like get away from him. So she's like, I'm thirsty.
That's
and
that's
like,
what it is.
Go. And she gets like wine or something.
But the whole time, like he's at her house, he's like low-key flirting with her, but he's also like just being chill about it, as if like he was invited into her house, which I thought
it's a weird energy.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, but it kind of goes back and forth though. Like it seems like she's almost trying to flirt with him to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
But then also like, you know, he says stuff like, oh, she's got a pretty name. And like, but from her perspective, I guess from anybody's perspective, that's not like, if you were in Holly's shoes at the moment, this is a crazy person.
Yeah,
for sure.
This guy's literally saying like the typical, like, we are being enslaved and only these glasses can let me see. And this is how she even finagles her way out of not putting the glasses on.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing here It's like he's acting the way he is at first because like he obviously doesn't want to hurt her, which is why he's just trying to. I don't think he's like flirting with her. I think he's just trying to come off as sincere,
pacify the situation.
Exactly, because like he has no intention. Like I honestly think if she did like run, he wouldn't hurt her. Because that's not what he's trying to do. He is trying to just hide. So
I thought for some reason, my first thought was, so how long? Because I hadn't ever seen this movie. I was like, I'm curious how long he intends to stay in her house. Because he is to assume that like he just kept her captive because he does have a gun. Like, are you just going to like invite yourself to stay the night and be like, I hide here now. This is my place.
That's pretty much what it is. Like it's squatters' rights. He's in California. After 6 months, it's his house.
I mean, he did live in a shanty. I don't know. I think it's just in his situation. He's just like, oh my God, this is such a rush. Like we said, everything goes from 0 to 100 so fast.
Yes.
And he's like, I just need a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I just need a minute to figure out, collect my thoughts.
Well, I think you mentioned right here at this point in the movie, she went up to get some wine. I think she's pouring herself a glass of Prosecco. Yeah. And she tells him that she works for Cable 54 as an assistant director of programming, something like that.
Yeah, it's the basics of it. We also, like we said, we learn her name is Holly.
Again, reiterating, drinking Prosecco.
Exactly. Shout out Melissa. So he like goes to her while she's standing up and in a crazy turn of events, because she won't put the glasses on.
She goes, what would it matter? Like, even if I put the glasses on, like, I'm gonna see what you want to see.
Exactly. Yeah. It's gonna be like exactly what he wants because of the situation.
Yes. So then he goes up towards her. She smokes him off with a bottle to the back of the head.
Was that like a backhand bottle?
Yes, it was.
She was so quick. I was like, oh my God.
I know. Like she's been training with ninjas because he falls out of the window.
Holy
like
shit,
2
dude.
stories.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 stories.
And I don't know how but he like front flipped so perfectly and landed like exactly where you're supposed to land that he was rather unscathed with a couple of bruises.
Yeah, literally. He didn't get like down blood to the back of his head or anything.
That was like 30 feet, right? That was
it was a far drop. It was a far drop, and he rolls for a while.
Yeah, that was like 2 things about the scene. I will say, Meg Foster, has such screen presence, and like her eyes are just so distinct. And it's like, I don't think you should have anybody. If you know anybody with eyes like that, never have your back turned to them.
Yeah,
that is like my one survival tip of the day. And the second thing is like, I feel like this could have been a wrestling promo. Like you could have heard Jim Ross be like, "By God!" like when he went out the window.
He's been broken in half. He isn't though, and she calls the police. Like she's very calm when she calls the police.
Yes,
but an important part, she sees the sunglasses on the floor of her apartment. So Piper no longer has the sunglasses. So he hides as the police come, and you see him hiding in an alleyway at night. So I'm assuming he spends the night in an alleyway.
Yes, he does.
We cut the next day, and we see Frank, Keith David's character, working at the construction site when Piper shows up.
And he wants nothing to do with him because he wants nothing to do with the situation. He doesn't want to get in trouble. Obviously,
completely fair, because Keith David literally says, "Do you realize how many people you killed yesterday?"
His face is like all over the network programming too, right? Like it's on TV and everything.
He's a wanted criminal.
I mean, he looks it too because you can see his face on the screens, and he's walking like this limp. Like he couldn't look any more guilty.
Yeah,
like walking down the street, like the box of glasses that he put in the trash cans, it's gone, and it was just picked up by the garbage trucks.
Yes. So he's able to sneak into the back of the trash compactor. He opens it up. He searches through the trash, and he does find the box. And then the dump truck starts to lift up, and since the back door is open, everything just pours out. But my question was, wouldn't a dump truck not lift like that when it's about to drive away?
Okay. So I had a question about this scene because I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a garbage truck that's like this, where it's like, it's just flat. We've all seen them. Like it literally has to compact and crush everything.
And it brings it up. Yeah.
Right. This thing just opens up. And then the 2 guys get into like the like typical like angry like garbage man argument and decide to drive away with it on full tilt and knock Piper right out of it.
Yeah. Like that, there's so many questions about garbage man etiquette that are
garbage day.
So I think this was an early model of garbage trucks because they have 2. Yeah, because they have 2 openings. The opening on the top where like everything lifts and pours in, and then the opening in the exact back, like where it was. So then they can just dump at the dump.
Waste management in 1988 was a hellhole.
That's what it looks like. So he's dumped out. He has the box. And now Frank shows up and he's like, now, Frank, super cool dude. brought him his pay.
That's
Yeah.
true. 1 week's
Just-
pay. Best
Yeah.
he can do.
Super chill.
Can I just say that this next scene coming up, I'm not going to talk about it. I will just talk about the beforehand because I know that you're going to get into depth. I know you guys love this part. I got really bored. They could have cut this by like 4 minutes. Hold on, Tim. Hold on. Hold on. Hold
Dying.
the thought.
Holding.
For a full 5 minutes, I will tell you, I felt the whole 5. I thought it was longer. I got up. I went to the bathroom. I made myself a drink. I came back and it was still happening. They actually rehearsed this scene for 3 weeks before the actual scene was shot.
Yeah.
So every punch was real except for the punches to the groin and to the face.
Yeah. I just want to say something too, because I think that I want to give my thoughts because I think Tim should explain it because I think Tim is going to completely convert me on this. I can just see
I
it.
am not going to be converted. I was
Because
so bored.
I'm kind of with you in the sense I wasn't like
Yeah.
bored. I thought they overkilled it, but
Yes.
I understand John Carpenter so well. He
Mhm.
wouldn't have done it without intention. So I'm very excited to see what Tim has to say.
I did not get the intention, but let's see if Tim can tell me the intention.
I might as well give my short opinion
Go for
before
it.
we let Tim deep dive into this. I like the fight moves because Roddy Piper's a wrestler, so they
Yes.
come off
Yeah.
very
The
real
grapples
looking.
are cool. Yeah,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
But I am in the camp where I did think it ran a little long. So I would love to hear Tim's take on this.
Okay. All right. So
I'm gonna rate your take, by the way, just because it's gonna be
No pressure.
no pressure.
no
at all.
pressure.
That's fine. If I get anything lower than a 3, I'm gonna just like.
I didn't tell you out of how much it was.
Out of what? What's the
I-
full scale?
It's got to be a 10. We're a podcast of a scale of
Yeah.
1 to 10.
You got to give me like a number to strive for, like a goal.
Okay, I'll
10.
all right, fine. I'll make it easy. I'll do between 1 and 5. We'll make it easy.
Okay, if I get anything lower than a 3, then I get banished down to the basement, and you just shake up a seltzer, chuck it down there, and
don't
you
get
shut
my
the
hopes
door,
up.
The
and
usual.
and I'll see you in 3 years.
Don't get my hopes up.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
here's my argument. This scene, whew, I guess if you guys could help me out here, they have like a little bit of a dialogue where
Yeah.
he's-
First thing, he needs to check if Frank's a skeleton first, right?
yeah, he does.
Yes,
Yeah,
which he
first
does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And then he tells him to put on the glasses. But then I think pretty much immediately he just punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Because Frank says, I'm not doing that. He basically is saying, Frank almost, I feel like, kind of knows something's off. But he just says, I want no part of this. Like you said, like from the thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I want no part
Yes,
of
I
this.
think he says something like, I did not want to get involved. And that's when the first volley goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he just haymakers him. And this scene in itself, the reason why I like it, and I know it runs a little long, and I love to show
A
people this
little.
movie just because of the runtime of the fight. This is raw. This is a
Yes.
real fight.
I agree with you because like, just thinking about it, like your best advantage is when someone's back is turned and they're tired and like you kind of like get your second wind and then you just go out. That's just men. This is like a men thing.
This is just two dudes having it
Yeah.
out. This is like, okay, let's say if this was like a buddy cop movie, this is the part in the film where they have the disagreement and their way of coming to terms is beating the living shit out of each other
Yeah.
over sunglasses. And yeah, right, exactly. Like you got to appreciate like the comedic element of this film.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Fucking low blows, cheap shots, sucker punches.
This
So
this
funny.
in itself is again another Roddy Piper promo.
Yeah.
And fuck, you know what? Give Keith David a fucking wrestling character
Dude,
too.
he's
At this-
great.
Keith David's incredible in the scene. Again, it is raw. It is just men being men, which just sounds funny to say. I'm sorry, but like
It's okay.
It's men being men, and I
it was
know
a very 80s way to handle things.
it was a very it's very much in the same way like in the Predator when like Arnold sees what's his name, the guy who plays Dylan, and he's like Dylan, and he does that like famous like flex shake.
Yes. Yes.
This is like pinnacle 80s, right? This is how problems are solved. And the fight in itself, I think, is realistic. I think, and again, there are some very good comedic elements, not just in like the second wins where like you see like Keith David like panting against the wall and then Piper comes out of nowhere. Particularly, there's a scene in that where Piper gets a 2x4 and accidentally smashes Keith David's car. I think it was Keith
Yeah.
David's-
Yeah.
And then Keith David's like, what the fuck? And he had a bottle. And he tries to break the bottle in like that, like typical, like like movie trope fashion, and the bottle just explodes.
Yeah.
And Piper starts laughing at him
Well,
during the fight.
that's also the thing in that scene when Piper smashes the window. he has that like, oh shit, I went too
He's
far.
like,
Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is like a non-verbal argument.
Yeah,
right?
it's almost in his face. He's like, I know we're fighting, but I'm not actually trying to like maim you.
No,
like,
I just want you to put the damn glasses on.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I think the scene is so amazing is because there's so much that is said without being said, besides those brief moments of him like saying like fuck you and like putting the sunglasses like gently on his chest while he's like half unconscious, like, and in the end he succeeds, right?
Yeah,
like
he does.
He gets him to put the glasses on. And did you guys like see the line that he says to him at the end of this? That's I honestly probably like my favorite line in the movie. It's life's a bitch and she's back in heat.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Just really summed up the scene. So you know what, Jen, I totally get it. On the one hand, this is a great intermission. This is a great time to take a bathroom break, get a cup of tea, because you know he's going to get the damn glasses on. But at the same time, there is so much to unpack in it, and that's why I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with all the points. However, I feel like they could have cut at least 2 minutes, because 2 of the sections where they stopped fighting and then would just like go right back in, I feel like they could have done the initial fight, did the stop fighting thing, and then came back to the fight like they did, but they could have done it like one more time into the part where he went overboard with the car and everything else. Like I feel like
like a part 1 and part 2.
Yes.
Yeah, like
the two,
like the 2.5 minutes in between could have been taken out.
I totally get it. The scene is not without criticism, but like
I mean, they spent 3 weeks practicing that scene.
In all fairness, I'm trying to think, like, there's no, like, he's doing a great job, but he can't do this alone. He knows that. He has nobody else, and he's getting his fucking ass whooped in this fight in a way. So, like, I think he's looking for opportunities also to win this fight, but also to force the glasses on because he needs someone on his side. Yeah. So he needs to get those glasses on him.
Frank's the closest thing to a friend he has.
You could look at it that way. The fight goes on as long as it does, because Roddy Piper knows if he gives up, he's finished.
He's finished.
Because then he has no one he can actually go to help him.
No one to trust.
So that's actually a good way of looking at why it goes on this long. Because it's essentially, it's this long because this is how much fight Piper has to make sure he can get him on his side.
Absolutely.
So your rating is 2.5.
All right. Well,
I actually
later.
I don't, because I'm actually kind of more on your side now, Tim. The more we've actually talked this out,
it's a moral victory for me.
I like the word you say. It's raw, because just knowing men and how men are and the psychology of men, it does make sense. I may have got myself into hot water saying all women hate each other on a previous podcast, which I still firmly stand by.
I'm about to text people like, "How'd you feel about this week's episode?" And I'm so excited to see what they
fucking hate Brian. Get him off. But we're saying this is a total guy thing. Pride, pride is big in winning fights, but like more than anything else, he needs him. Like he knows he needs him.
You probably are in heat for that episode, though. I'm so curious.
I actually can't wait to hear it because I agree with Brian's opinion.
So
well, that's because you're a dude and you don't get it.
Wow. Okay. You know what? I don't want to hear it. You give me a 2.5 rating. Like, I'm hurt. You know what? That hurt me more than any number of punches Roddy Piper or Keith David could deliver to my solar plexus. I hope you pass with that. Take that away.
If that was like your one wish, would you wish that Rodney Piper could like lay a punch on you? Would you let him do it?
This is a great question. Yes. And secondly,
because I feel like he might break you.
Oh, absolutely. I would immediately almost like Minecraft, just get cut up into little bits and pieces.
Oh my God.
But then you could just collect me and then maybe put me back together at the end. But let's not test that theory. The thing that I want to mention is, there's this video game called Saints Row 4, which if anyone's played Saints Row, it's basically what if Grand Theft Auto did an Adderall line? So Saints Row 4 decided to go way over the top, and you're the president of the United States, and your vice president is none other than Keith David, actual Keith David. So long story short, aliens invade, whatever. All these guys get put into these little pods, and you need to break them out. And essentially all of the characters are in their own personal hells. Keith David's personal hell is him getting the living shit kicked out of him by Roddy Piper.
Oh my God.
That's incredible.
That is so funny.
Not only have to help Roddy Piper break Keith David out of this, but you essentially do the end of They Live and go to the top of the building to break the antenna.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
So fucking funny. And this scene is very iconic for a reason.
Yeah.
Huh.
Awesome.
I actually got to play Saints Row 4. I
Please
never
do.
made it past the first one.
Nah, it's fine. What you do 3 and 4, or just do 4? Have fun with it.
I will do that. I actually think I have it from a Games with Gold from years ago.
Oh, just stop it, okay? Just stop it. Aren't you just so sick of people being morbidly obese, filthy slobs? I myself fit into this category as a piece of Western Jersey penniless pond scum, but hey, I want to do something about it, folks, okay? And that's why it's my pleasure to talk about the brand new nutritional diet from the enchanted rainforests of Belize, a place where no one has ever been previously. Now, for centuries, nobody has been able to enter these mystical forests because they have been protected by an overseer, the kinky shaman. Local legends say the kinky shaman is an ogre. Some say he's a troll. Others say he's just a musty breeze. In any case, the kinky shaman has broken the silence between the mystical forest and the outer realm, or the rest of the world, I guess, by shipping a brand new innovative diet straight to the Final Podcast studio. Who knew we'd partner with a shaman from Belize? But things happen. Who knew Shane would bury himself inside the Cooch of Amsterdam? Crazy things happen when you're doing hard H. The product is called Pixie Pudding. Now, we don't know the details, but we have been able to surmise a Belize rainforest is made of pixies who spread their hot, sexy pixie dust, which I can only believe is a queef dusting, on mud to procure what we are currently holding as pixie dust. It is literally in our hands as I'm talking. 3 meals a day for a 2-week cleanse is said to make you lose up to 50 pounds. 50 pounds in 2 weeks? Sign me up. Now, would you prefer a more scientific diet or something we know almost nothing about, including how a kinky shaman shipped this package to us with no return address? I think you go this route, and to be honest, the price is so painfully low, they're practically giving it away at $3 per 13-ounce jar. It's almost too good to be true. Hopefully, they aren't planning any mischief. Using the promo code I want the pixie, I want the pudding, they'll ship you straight from Belize 30 jars of PP for the price of 15. This will hold you over for 10 days as a trial. I recommend it, and so does the kinky Belizean shaman who may or may not be plotting a U.S. invasion. Now back to the program. Great program.
Okay, so the fight is over because let's actually get into now the rest of the plot of this movie. The glasses are on Keith David. And literally, the first 2 things he sees are 2 alien people.
Right off the bat.
So they're like, okay, let's go get a hotel room together, which is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they discuss the plan, which the plan is they don't have a plan.
No, they don't.
No.
And they say, someone else should help them.
Their big plan is there's we have to find the person who made the glasses. That's step number 1. I know at night, Frank mentions that they may have been here all along, theorizing, watching humans just kill each other. Roddy Pipper, he's like, he ain't having it any longer, comparing them to his dad who used to hold a saw blade over him, which was fucking sick.
I like this scene a lot. I really do. I think it's I always say it's positive masculinity where it's all right, we had a fight. Let's find a way to get over it. And then they resolve their differences, right?
Which is what it always should be.
Yeah. And then it's just a couple of guys drinking beers after just throwing haymakers at each other and just talking about how their dads suck ass. And it's great. It's a great scene.
So now Frank is followed up by Gilbert. So this is for me watching this for the first time, and this is actually the second time I watched it. I watched it as a kid, but it was a refresh because I haven't seen it in so long. Mm-hmm. So I was a little confused. I'm Gilbert was such a suspicious character, and now I see him getting followed into the room, and then now it's going to click very soon. Gilbert tells them the location of a meeting of people who know. They head to this location with a doorman, and the password is gun possession. They get in. So they're in, and a lady gives drops for
Were those contacts?
Yeah, they're contacts.
Oh, they're contacts?
Yeah.
And that's
sorry.
It's so funny because I think we've all at some point tried to put on contacts, and I'm they did it like they were doing a shot.
So that's the thing. I wear glasses still because I can't.
Me neither.
It creeps me out touching my eye.
Yeah.
And like you said, they literally just without
Is this the point where I think where they first mentioned the longer you have the glasses on, the more your head hurts?
Yes. And like Tim said 10 seconds ago, contacts lessen that.
Yeah.
They're kind of just meeting everyone. They meet the gun guy who instantly recruits them to the assault team because Roddy Piper is so excited to be on the assault team.
Yeah, he needs to be assaulting at all times. They meet with Gilbert, and he says to them, he's like, the cops have been told they're commies trying to bring down the government. The TV mentions that humans are just a natural resource for them. Mm-hmm. And then I think Frank picks up a 2-way watch, which now they can use to listen to their broadcast.
Yes.
So now he has to watch.
Yeah, I think they have a broadcast too in the background playing, right?
Yes. Yes, they do.
And I think the guy even mentions they're working on making the watch teleport.
Yeah, they stole the tech and they're trying to appropriate it. But yeah, like the broadcast is interesting because it's the idea is that these guys come and they convert planets into their own, and then once they've harvested all the resources, they're like, see ya, and leave.
They're essentially like a parasite race.
They are, absolutely.
But Gilbert's pissed. He's holding a team meeting because he wants their numbers to be doubled, and they're not.
Well, he even mentions, he's like, I see there's less people, which is bad. That means like we're being caught.
Yeah.
And as he's doing this, Holly walks in.
Surprise.
As soon as she walks in, like Piper goes to her and he's really excited to see her. And literally in an instant, the wall blows up and the police just storm in and start mowing down, like
Oh my god.
literally mowing them down because you see the machine gun bullets just pelting these people.
Yeah.
Does Holly tell him that she's like, it's not KRDA, if the signal's coming from somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like she's like giving them real information, which is true. It wasn't coming for KRDA.
Yeah.
But
What wasn't it? It was coming from the top of the building.
Channel 54, I think.
Yeah, it was a different station.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people die in the scene. Like I think like notably, like they don't have names, but like that family where it was like the dad and the
Yeah.
daughter, like all those people that actually came from the shantytown, gone.
Gilbert's wife definitely gets killed here in this scene. Does Gilbert get killed?
Yeah,
in
he
this
gets
scene?
lit up.
Yeah.
Gilbert, yeah.
So
John
Gilbert and
Speed.
his wife are dead. The guy that specifically recruited them to the assault team and gave them the watches also gets killed in this scene because he's actually about to throw a grenade and get shot.
And the grenade blows up.
Just like the Thing, right? Like
Yo,
it's like
yes,
just dropping
yes.
a grenade.
I didn't even put 1 and 2 together, but you're right.
John Carpenter's grenade tosses.
He doesn't like grenades.
I was like, 'cause I think at some point, Roddy Piper, he like falls to the ground. Frank has to pick him up, and as they're trying to escape, he's shooting back at them, and they're killing several in an alleyway, along with Frank as well. Roddy Piper wants to find Holly because they get separated during this commotion, and Frank tells him, hold back as cops start coming through the alleyway. They kind of funnel in, and he's trying to like use the watch, right? And it's like malfunctioning.
Yeah.
But it does create a portal behind him, and Frank jumps in as the cops start shooting, and the timer starts counting down, and then at that 3, 2, 1 point, Roddy Piper pops in.
Now, before we get to the next part, because we're basically from there going to go right to the end of the movie, were any of you super suspicious of Holly at this point?
Yeah.
Because like I actually was, because the second she shows up, like, is when the police show up. It's like maybe like 25
That's a good
seconds.
catch, Shane. I didn't catch that. That's a good catch.
It's like, I don't know. And when the first time I watched this, I didn't know what to expect of her character. But I always did find it very odd how cool, how reserved she is when all of these things are happening.
Yeah.
And that is a red flag.
I really like the way that she, like you said it earlier, Tim, I really like the way that she played this character because I did think that she was on the level, but like now that you watch it, it's just like, you could tell like she plays like an even keel personality, very like calm and reserved, but you could totally see that how she could easily fall into play with being on that side.
Exactly. And once we get to the end, we'll talk about, it's so obvious in retrospect, but like the first time viewing, you would never like know.
No, Meg Foster does a really good job though.
She does.
And keep in mind, after this part, they all are wearing contacts, so technically they don't need the glasses anymore. So we can see in color now.
Yes.
We're now down in a tunnel system.
It's
It's called a tunnel system.
Underground
And
tunnel system,
we hear 2 guards celebrating how they wiped out all the rebellious people. It's almost like the Empire taking out the rebels in Star Wars. It's essentially what it is.
Like, yeah, we're going to meet 18. Yeah.
You want to hear something cool about those guards?
Yeah.
Guards.
The devices that they're using to like communicate with each other, they're called PKE meter, and they're also used in Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Cool. The same PKE meters?
Yeah, that's the exact same one.
Dr. Venkman.
So,
Does that mean Dr. Bankman was also part of them?
Could be.
ooh.
I think they hear clapping.
Yes. And now they stumble into a alien banquet dinner. And they're saying the underground terrorist network has been destroyed. And then we see the bum who was watching the TV in the shantytown at the beginning is now high society in a suit.
Oh, he's in a suit. I think they label him and credit him as the Drifter, that character. But yeah, Drifter.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, that's him. He was watching the TVs in the beginning, and
Oh.
yeah.
Oh,
In the
that was
shanty.
him. I don't know why. I thought,
Yeah.
For some reason, I got it confused and thought for some reason it was the foreman, but it's still, to me, that's even funnier that the bum ended up high society.
Yeah, so how I took it, because even in talking, after they mowed down that town, he sold himself out to be with them. Because he said something, like, he's like, oh, you guys joined too?
Yeah.
Thinking like, why aren't you guys in these nice clothes now? He's like, oh, you must have just,
must have just got here.
Exactly.
But one of the cool things, like right when they get in, a lot of the communication from the speaker, they talk about a power alliance, and their big plans are to have the whole world be under their control by 2025. That's their like onset goal.
So in 4 years, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're getting real close now.
And is it like the alliance is between like these human elitists and the alien skeletons, or however you want to refer to them as, and they saw a 39% growth from the past year.
They're getting good numbers.
Oh, they're clapping this whole time.
I'm a stats guy. I'm looking at these stats.
You always were a stats guy.
Yeah, I've been in sales for 4 years, so
I can name where
best
they
4
all
years of
probably
your
work,
life.
but I don't want to get in trouble at work. So
let's blast Shane.
So now they ask him. They ask the bum guy to, can you take us to like where the signal's being beamed? And he starts taking them through the corridors. They see a portal that like beams them from, I guess, Earth to their planet.
It's very Star Trek.
Yeah, it really is. Then he takes them to the newsroom. They see the newscasters talking. This is when they run into two guards, and they just shoot both the guards. And then the bum was like, what are you guys doing? So he had no idea this was their plan.
It was great. Yeah, there's what does he say? He says something like, because he tries to like persuade them still, like, guys, like, come on, like, seriously, like, just join us. Like, there's no countries, there's no good guys anymore.
Yeah, it's all just the aliens.
And Frank's like, nah, man, you sold us out. You suck. And then he dips, I think, right?
Yeah, he just leaves.
Yeah, he teleports.
Yep. He uses his watch and he's just gone.
Oh, yeah, because he was like, oh, I love this thing. They gave it to everybody.
Yeah.
Like this little gift.
Frank now takes out a grenade.
Yes.
And he blows up the door
To cable 54?
Yeah, and they, once again, this is now both of them are just mowing down the aliens. They shoot the newscasters.
Oh, my God.
They shoot the people filming the newscasters, once again, sparing the humans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they do specifically show the humans just either leaving or hiding and not being touched.
They're asking for like, they need to get to the roof, right? So I think they're asking people for like how they get to the roof.
Yes.
And they try to make their way to the roof.
Someone tells them an elevator, but they realize the elevator is not available. So they go to the stairs.
He does locate Holly
Yes, he does.
and drags her along with them. I think at this point too, at some point, like Frank's just like, who the fuck is Holly? Like,
Yeah, he does say
mentions
that.
it, like he just doesn't know who she is because
Yeah.
he never had that interaction with her like at all.
But even also like earlier when like they raided the base, like he's like, I gotta go back get Holly, and he's like, who the hell is Holly? Like, don't fucking like
Yeah.
we gotta go, man. Like, what are you doing?
You do a very good Keith David, by
Yeah,
the
it's
way.
very good.
I wish I find Keith David to be like a voice acting inspiration. I think he was a big part of our childhood. If you watch
Yes.
Gargoyles, like
he's one of the great voice actors of our
He
generation.
also, if I believe, was the Arbiter in Halo 2.
was.
he is the Arbiter. I think he's Captain Anderson in Mass Effect. Like he does.
He is.
He does so much. So like, thank you. I was practicing it for a little bit before I was just in the car, just like, just, like getting in the mode.
Well, I mean, just to give some background between me and Tim's friendship, I've known Tim for years now. And the first thing I really knew about Tim, my introduction to him was through another friend. And he's like, man, this guy does the best Christopher Walken impersonation
very
I've
true.
ever heard.
Very true.
Wow, it's been a while. Actually, it's been quite a while since they whipped that one out.
No, I mean, I haven't heard you do it in a while either, but it was just like, that was always my first impression of you. You're like, you got to meet my friend Tim. He's basically Christopher Walken.
Do you want to meet the closest thing to Christopher Walken?
I think you guys did a bit where it would be like 3 a.m. and we're playing Gears of War, asking me questions, but I'm Christopher Walken. And I feel like my mom would walk in the room and be like, what is this person I raised? Like, he's.
Well, no, I believe that because my mom would just hear me in my bedroom saying, we are a force, because that is all we used to say on Gears.
We are still a force. Thank you very much.
And that was background talk. What was that, Jen?
I'm gonna say that on Dead by Daylight next. I'm gonna be like, "Don't touch my asshole. We are a force."
There we go. Someone's bringing it back.
We're killing guards.
Yes, a lot of guards. We're on the stairs killing guards.
Yeah, we're rushing upstairs. Frank is following. But at this point, meaning Roddy Piper is moving on ahead. Holly is behind Frank.
Mm.
She takes out a gun and she shoots Frank on the side of the face off camera.
Yeah,
Such a this betrayal.
it
hurts.
sucked. Like I said, I saw this movie as a kid, like Brian, and this was my first time now rewatching it since then. So I really didn't remember much.
Me too.
I was so upset
Yeah.
when he gets killed.
I
here.
love Frank as a character.
I was really I was either hoping they both got away with it, or they both kind of went out in the blaze of glory. I don't like that
Frank just snuffed out like
without Piper being there. It's it's sadder almost.
It's sadder, but it makes so much sense.
Yes,
like
it does.
It makes so much sense. I'm like, I actually think this was the right decision, but it does, like, as a viewer, you want to make it because you like both their characters.
Exactly, and that's good. Filmmaking. It's like you don't need to do what everyone wants. Sometimes you just got to make it impactful, and this is definitely that.
With Holly too, I guess kind of going back to what we were saying before, like at what point did you think Holly was suspicious? I would say maybe right when she comes around the corner of the hallway and she's just conveniently there.
Mm-hmm.
That was also like in the beginning for me, like the red flag where I was like, okay, how did she just conveniently show up at this point?
Yes.
Right.
So this is a good time to talk about it now since we're at the end. So basically Holly's character, she has been so calm and even keel and accepting, because I'm assuming we're supposed to take it this way, is that she's always known about these aliens. So when she gets abducted by Piper running away from them, if she has the moment to report him, and when he makes it seem like he's trusting of her, that she knows like he won't hurt her, so she'll eventually have the opportunity to like rat him out. Yeah, that's how they filmed this.
She has to get close to the person, because obviously she's like, it's subterfuge and like it's a spy. She's playing like the femme fatale spy. She has to get close enough for the kiss of death, because obviously she's not going to win a direct fight with either of them.
Right.
So that's how she makes her moves.
And it's so well done. Because like now when you look back, it's like her character's, it's perfect. Like it's such a well-written character.
Actually, now I think about it, like when we mentioned when she calls the police, she's actually, it seems like she's talking to somebody else before she talks to the police. Like she's like, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. And then she gets the cops involved.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. So now we are on the grand finale of the roof. Roddy Piper sees the satellite dish. He sees the helicopter floating over, but he also sees Holly.
But he asks, he's like, all clear? And you just hear her voice. She's like, I'm clear. Are you? And then she has the gun up to him and tells him not to do it because he's ready to blow up the satellite. And she's like, you can't win. And the helicopters are flying, up to them on the roof. He drops his weapon and she asks him to come inside with her. He quickly grabs another gun. I think he had like this nifty sleeve gun.
He did.
He had a little snub nose just tucked it, as one does, tucked in your flannel.
Killing it with the freaking flannel game this whole movie, by the way. Yeah, so he gets it. He shoots her. He shoots the satellite. And then he's lit up by the guys on the helicopter.
Yeah, so he has died. Now, this is what I was alluding to the whole time. This is the first real person he kills in the movie. And it's justified because his decision is, I have to kill this person so I can help everyone.
Yeah.
So once the satellite is destroyed, the signal is destroyed, Roddy Piper is dead. We then cut to a bar, and one of the aliens is sitting there drinking. And now that their disguise is gone, everyone's just like,
what the fuck is that?
Yes.
And look, because the guy's just standing there. He's just like sitting. He's just sitting at the bar.
And and you know what's great? It looks so goofy, but it's supposed to. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's supposed to. It sticks out so
much. What an
much.
outlier! Yeah, because that's what they are. That's what they've been. They're like wolf in sheep's clothing the whole time. Like this is their existence. Yeah. They're the alien. And now they're exposed.
This whole ending was so great. I loved it.
Yes, masterful. And then the last scene, a fucking passion bump, baby.
So we are ending this movie on a passion bump. There is a girl on top of someone having sex. She looks down and she is banging an alien.
Passion bump. Passion bump. Passion bump.
What's wrong, baby?
I love this scene, especially because if you look in the corner, also like the media, like pictures and stuff are now exposed. So it says marry and reproduce in the top right.
Incredible.
Oh my God, this scene. And just the fact the movie ends like that.
It's perfect.
I love seeing people's reactions because they're like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and like it starts showing like in movies and on TV, like who's an alien and who's not. It was amazing.
Yeah. The ending was spectacular. Totally agree. But that's They Live, John Carpenter's 1988 classic. Shane, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. I wish we gave decimal points.
Yeah, me
once
too.
Again.
Me too.
Because
me too.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I want to give it the 8.5, but we don't do that because I love this movie. Like, I guess it's really just an 8 just because it's not like one of my upper like top movies, but like man, like between Keith David and Roddy Piper's like friendship and acting, and Roddy Piper's just kind of like you said, he's not the best actor, but he feels so real. He feels real in the movie.
Doesn't even need to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. Meg Foster is fantastic. Mm-hmm. She's by far the best actress in the movie. Like her role, she plays it so perfectly. Even the minor side characters, the preacher, Gilbert, they all play their role so well. Overall, as a story, it's just genius. Like there's so much to it with like all the subliminal messages, like the obey, follow, consume, which I almost feel is more timely now than it even was back in 1988. With how like big corporations and like all this like consumerism is, like it aged so well. Like
it does.
Definitely.
It's perfect to watch nowadays. I could go on and on about how much I love this movie. So I know I'll just hit other points you guys are going to talk about. So I'll just move it right on to Brian.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have this movie at an 8 out of 10. I'm trying to like think of like where I rank this, his hierarchy of movies. Like I have obviously the Thing at the top. I have Halloween. Like for me, what's better, this or Halloween? I probably would give this the edge over Halloween slightly. Mm. Even though I love Halloween, I'm not a slasher hater. I do like slashers, but I give priority to the.
Which is ironic because we've done mostly slashes on this.
They're entertaining. They're entertaining. I'm saying like in terms of like my rating, I never give her slashers like usually high ratings. But no, I love sci-fi movies. I love this idea of this movie about like how you're seeing like this whole like cabal of people and the underlying like subtext of how commercialism kind of like it invades people's thoughts and like you're supposed to abandon like free thought and kind of like fall into this like mindless drudge of just blending in and just like whatever you're being told, obey, command, be a slave to what you've been seeing. Obviously, this is something we see in culture every day. Shane, what you mentioned about marketing and all the subtext in marketing, like it's second nature to us. Like we see something and it's just like, oh, this is like what we're supposed to buy, or like this is what we need, or like this is us now. So it's just cool like to see like how that's gonna gets deconstructed in this movie. I think it's phenomenal. John Carpenter, like we said in the previous review when we had you on for The Thing, Tim, he's so versatile for like a guy that does horror movies. He does like these action sci-fi horror movies. He also does action movies straight up. And like, yeah, he's just such a versatile guy. I think the acting was really good in general. Like you said, Shane, Roddy Piper didn't need to be the best actor in the world, but his like one-liners, his like maybe even riffs and improvs were just so fucking amazing. Meg Foster killed it. Keith David killed it. And the ancillary characters were really good too. So I really like this movie. I give it an 8 out of 10.
All right, we'll kick it to you, Jen.
I wasn't sure what to give this movie because I didn't think it was a bad movie whatsoever, but my ratings are very heavily based off if I plan on watching it ever again or if I would put it on. I am actually going to give this movie a 6 out of 10 because I thought it was decently well done, despite that I think the fight scene could have brushed off 2 minutes at least. But Tim hates me now.
No, that's okay. I'm still recovering from the 2.5. Like there's this like ringing in my ears.
I had to because you gave me a number off the bat. Wow. You gave me a 3, and I was like, I can't do a 3 now.
I'm gonna call it right now. Jen sandbagged you.
I absolutely feel sandbagged.
If you hadn't given me a number, I probably would have been a little more fair.
Yikes.
That
is actually the definition of sandbagging.
You can't predetermine. You can't give me a predetermined. I expect this, or because I can't do it. Then
wait until Sauce McGavin hears this sandbagging.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
Yeah, he is.
Hey Sauce, guess what? Tune in this weekend on Dead by Daylight. I'll sandbag Miranda and like run the killer directly her way. He's gonna text me right after he hears this and be like, "What the fuck?" I'm
gonna like actually personally call to arms for Sauce McGavin to protect me here because I just feel so damaged and
now you know. You can't give me a predetermined number next time.
I just asked you what you thought. I'm pretty sure we can. This is recorded. We can go back.
You said I don't expect anything lower than a 3, and I was like, okay.
Yes. All right. I did say that, but that's because you can't give it. Yet you gave me lower than a 3. So once again, what a twist! You are truly the Holly to my Frank in this situation.
The M. Night Shyamalan twist.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like old movies like this, like it depends. Like I also gravitate more towards comedy. I'm more of a comedy person. It captures my attention the most. So I give it above a 5 because I think the movie was really well done and I really like the plot and everything. But watch factor for me it's probably not gonna be a returning movie for me for quite some time unless someone else recommends it.
Okay. Fun fact, I own this movie on VHS, and now we'll throw it to Tim.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Do you have a VHS player?
I don't have a VHS player, but I have a shit ton of VHS tapes.
We gotta.
I wish I had a
I have
VHS
one.
player. They're only like $300 to buy one now.
Really? Are they like still manufacturing them actively?
No, they're not.
No.
And that's why you can only get them secondhand off of eBay and stuff. That's why
Damn it.
I need the pandemic to end so I could go back to flea markets, because I want to search the flea market for one, because that's where I would get most lucky, probably
I
getting a cheaper
actively
one.
go to flea markets regardless.
See, I haven't done it since we started, because I normally, the one at Meadowlands, I used to go every Saturday. Love that one.
Yeah, I was just hoping that maybe like in my like stuff that I have in like my storage that maybe I just happen to have a VHS. I thought maybe they were making them ironically, you know, like kind of like old
No.
Nokia phones still.
I
Like,
wish they did.
Like they're just like, oh, we're just gonna put VHS back into production. Oh, we're gonna bring Betamax back. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna like bring that type of media. But so my score
Yes.
is 8 out of 10. And wow, okay. So I'll try to keep this a little bit shorter than like how excited I got for the fight scene. 'Cause it's like
It's okay.
that'll just become its own mini-sode where I just talk about the two of them fighting for like 30 minutes straight. Somehow longer than the actual fight itself. No, but like, okay, I really love this movie for a lot of reasons. Is it a horror movie? I would say in a way, yes, because it's like, you know, alien invasion. Like, you know, I know we've referenced Invasion of the Body Snatchers when we mentioned The Thing. It's scary in the fact that like conspiracy movies and like, yes, like a hidden cabal that is actually like manipulating and can actually be tied to real world events like climate change and poverty. Like that's crazy, right? But it's such a great movie because so the three main like characters, like, okay, so like the ancillary characters like Brian mentioned are fantastic, but I think Piper's character is Nada, Keith David is Frank, and
Meg Foster is Holly.
I think they almost like play like different flavors to the film. Like Piper's character is the fun part, right? Like you have fun watching him because there's the one particular part, I guess, in the grocery store where when he puts the glasses on, he sees the aliens and he says something to the extent of like, of fucking course it would be this, right? He's like, of course, and that's you as the viewer. Like you're watching and you're living through vicariously through like what Piper does and how he acts during the film. And then Frank, on the other hand, is like the grounded guy. Like he's like, I don't want none of this shit. I just want to earn my pay and go home. And like you totally respect that. And then Holly is the other character that is like constantly reminding you that there is something going on. There is something going on that's bigger than this. And ultimately you follow the path. You follow his hunch. To where it ultimately ends. I mean, obviously this film is brought us so much like great pop culture references, like Jen mentioned with Shepard Fairey and the Obey slogan, chew bubblegum, great line, the fight scene, Jen, the above 2.5 fight scene. But we'll respect your scoring for this episode. I am going to go cry in my car after this, though. I just want to let you know.
That's fair.
Sauce
At least
McGavin,
they
please
let
help
you
me.
use the car.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, I get one right around the block, and then I go back into the
Yeah, as long as he's going back in there. That's where
Yeah.
he lives. He go back in the basement with
Right.
with the rats and the
raccoons
Now
and the exploding Sprite.
Oh, yeah, you're going to shake that up and throw it down, right? Because I did say that's part of my punishment.
Now, for
But,
the next time we have this conversation, you know not to give me a predetermined rating.
I learned my lesson, Jen. Thanks. So this movie it's got so many iconic moments, just a very electric cast of characters. John Carpenter is just so good at writing these roles for the people he wants to cast and getting them to work so well that it's believable. And I think they actually mentioned that there was something somewhere where John Carpenter made Roddy Piper and Keith David go out to lunch in character just to see what would happen. And he's like, so what happened? He's like, we literally didn't talk. But it's like that's their dynamic, that's their relationship though in the movie, right? Where it's like they only say what needs to be said, and they are like people of action. They are just they want to get shit done, and that's it. So yeah, the movie's a little bit short.
That's pretty funny.
I feel like it goes and it definitely moves very quickly. It definitely goes 0 to 100 as we've mentioned before. But I think that's why I like it as a rewatch, in my personal opinion, because it's like if I want to just put something on and it's if somebody especially hasn't seen it, I'm like, why don't we watch They Live? Yes, this is definitely a Carpenter classic. Highly recommend it. And yeah.
Design of the aliens is so unique. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like it's so cool.
They're humanoid, like, right?
Exactly.
Like, usually, like, you're like, oh, it was secretly this weird, grotesque being. Like Men in Black would do like, this guy's actually like 40 feet tall when he's not in a human body. But no, like they were like, these are like people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super that was really well done, making it look like a more morbid type of person.
Very corrupt person, the true ghoul.
All right. So, gentlemen, it is that time in the podcast where we choose some poor sap to put in our Necronomicon to enter what they think could be heaven or hell, but it's actually the Jinn's lamp. So maybe they'll get tortured there. Who knows? We gave the lamp to the leprechaun earlier. I don't know what he did with it, but that's where they're going. We don't have to tell them. They'll fit. Yeah, maybe he shined it. He might be singing to it. Maybe he's kicking it somewhere. Who knows? Who do we want to put in our Necronomicon?
Mine is easy. Shane, you usually start. I don't know if you have it. I could go first.
Yeah, go first.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Frank. That was the moment that just like everything just like, yep, she turned. That's it. Like she's with them. So yeah, it's that simple. Like I think that was the one for me. It was not a sexy kill. You know, it was actually off screen, which I think would be the first off screen death I actually would give.
Yeah, it is. Because literally, I think just 2 episodes ago, you mentioned you had never given it to an off screen death.
And
so this would be a first time.
We always say we have to confirm the death, but you don't actually see it. But I think it's good. I think that's clear enough that the way the circumstances are going,
he's dead.
Where her methodology was, he's definitely dead. So I'm going to go with Frank.
What do you think, Tim?
Definitely Frank. I loved his character and the way he did so dirty in this scene. And again, that plays to like Holly's character and how she operates. And you know, in the end, like Frank for half the movie was like, again, because that was the whole idea, was all of these people are asleep or they willingly choose to be like, I actually am pretty sure something's wrong, but I don't want to get involved. And in the end, he did turn and he did the right thing and he got Nada Piper to where he needed to be. Just hurts. It hurts.
It hurts.
I love his character. I love you, David.
Jen?
I agree with that. I really liked the character of Frank. Was definitely one of my favorite characters. So yeah, no complaints here. I also I can't name, we had a lot of on-screen deaths, but I really can't name any of them. I don't feel like they contributed to the movie remotely as much as Frank would.
Number 37.
Wait, I was going to say, so you're not taking into my consideration. I was going with bank patron number 7.
All right.
Okay, yeah. No, Frank obviously is the choice.
Wonderful. So Shane, have you prepared a eulogy for Frank? Of
course. Big Frank. Keith David, you are the pinnacle of John Carpenter movies along with Kurt Russell. You were a great wingman to Roddy Piper, despite having to get your face beaten in for a good 5 minutes before agreeing. And we all wish that you could have been there to see the end of your plan. And we are very, very sorry that you weren't. But we can still honor you in our Necronomicon, which is what we are going to do now.
There you go. You're in it, Frank.
And that is They Live. And Tim, it was absolutely a pleasure to have you on.
Always.
For another John Carpenter movie.
I just come on for the ones where the main role is just I look like that guy. I just like character today.
I love it.
You know.
I think that was very generous for you to call what they had a plan.
It was an ambitious plan.
Yeah.
Like a very ambitious one.
Okay. It was definitely like off the rails. Like even the guy Gilbert was just like, we just got to destroy the signal. And it's like, what do you don't even know how to get there.
It had the makings of a plan. So
well, that's why they politely asked for directions.
So Tim, thanks again so much. You're a fucking awesome guest. It was such a good time.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely link up and do another one soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, much fucking fun, dude.
You were so much better than our last guest.
Who was that?
Oh, that was Benanti?
Oh,
fuck that guy. You're right.
Let me know what John Carpenter movie you want to do next.
Yes, for sure, Tim.
Yeah, I'll make sure not to get sandbagged next time. Learn the lesson today.
Oh, man. All right.
That's what I'm here for.
So next week, we will be doing another, actually, in my opinion, very good movie. We will be reviewing Cube.
Yeah, a little sci-fi horror action.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about that movie, it involves a cube. So we are the final podcast signing off, and we will see you next week, literally inside the cube. Not Ice Cube. So if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at The Final Pod Ever. Follow us on Instagram at The Final Podcast. And if you haven't, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It really, really helps Apple, push out our content and recommend us to other people to listen to.